Hey, Stevie on here at Bernardston Auto Wrecking in Bernardston, Massachusetts, doing the junkyard crawl. This is a Chrysler Town and Country. It's a minivan, yes. Of course, we know the minivan arrived in 1984 and really opened up a whole new market segment, which was quickly copied by Chevrolet and Ford. And again, the minivan, as we know, was based largely on the 1981 K-Car platform, which was front-wheel drive. But what are we looking at here with this all-wheel drive logo? What could this thing be? Well, here's the deal. Now, this is a Dodge Caravan. This is the downscale version of the minivan from the Chrysler Town and Country, which was the top-level model. But it has the same all-wheel drive system. And there we see it right there. We can see where the transverse engine drives the front wheels and through a two-piece drive shaft, an independent rear suspension. But it's not really independent. We'll get to that in a second. But you got to remember that the Town and Country nameplate arrived in 1941, Chrysler's top-level roadster with wood-bodied paneling, and for 75 model years was second only to General Motors Suburban as the longest-running American production car year to year. So again, the Town and Country is a legendary name in the world of Chrysler. Now, as a Town and Country, it is the top level. These are based on the 119-inch minivan wheelbase, 6 inches longer than lesser Dodge and Plymouth minivans. Inside, leather everything, power everything, and really, you know, kind of a very luxurious piece in its time. These were not inexpensive. I dare say this was pretty close to the price of a Corvette, although you'd be on the other end of the life cycle if you had one of these versus a Corvette. Clearly, this is for moving your family around in as much style as you could in a front or all-wheel drive minivan. Now, speaking of that all-wheel drive, here's the thing. If we look in the back, we'll see leaf springs, right? Now, all minivans up to this point in time had leaf springs, which is pretty archaic stuff, right? I mean, pickup trucks, Dodge Darts. How on earth did they utilize rear-wheel drive? Did they take the 8 1/4 out of the pickup truck? Well, no. Take a look. You point the camera down toward the back, and what you'll see is something kind of weird. There's a tube axle, which is essentially the same piece used on front drives, but also there's a center differential up there, that big aluminum structure. That is bolted to the bottom of the body, and then those two half shafts, which are articulated with CV joints, feed each wheel. So it's a very strange well, it's not even independent at all, but it is a weird thing. Now, you might say, what kind of a Band-Aid? Why would they do that? Well, this differential, this rear diff right here, does not share its application with any other passenger car, but inside of that thing is a transfer case, which can take as much as 90% of the power from the front tires and then mix it 50-50. So there's no transfer case underneath this thing, and there's no switch on-off, none of that kind of stuff. That senses wheel slip and it engages. So that center differential is kind of an exotic piece of material, but again, it's weird that it's bolted to the chassis or the frame of the vehicle, and then the half shafts move up and down with that beam axle, kind of a hybrid, independent, solid axle kind of arrangement. Not a Band-Aid. It was engineered for this purpose. But the thing is, the leaf springs on this make this kind of old and kind of new at the same time. Under the hood, the Chrysler Town and Country minivan won't be found with a 4-cylinder, the 2.2 or the 2.5, which was used in Dodge and Plymouth. These were strictly V6 powered. Now, this one here, I can't get the hood open. These have those confounded cables inside that always snap, and so I can't get this open. But underneath this hood is one of two V6s, the 3.3 or the 3.8. They're both narrow 60-degree designs designed by Chrysler, but get this, they're not overhead cam engines, they're pushrod style V6 engines. So again, either a 3.3 or a 3.8 was under the hood of this, or is under the hood of this. Now, keep in mind that the all-wheel drive option was available between 1991 and 2004, and something like 15 million minivans were made in the production life of this. I would dare say that maybe 5% of those were all-wheel drives like this. So a pretty rare thing. Now, I remember as a kid back in the 1980s, you would see on a fairly regular basis the all-wheel drive logo here. But in my time in California from 1991 through 2007 or so, I never once saw one of these things. So these were often sold, or almost always sold, in snowy climates, Northeast, Midwest, and again, a pretty rare thing So that's the story of the Chrysler Town and Country all-wheel drive minivan. There are 6 generations of minivans. This is one of the 2nd gen, and again, the final one that still had its K-car bones and leaf spring rear suspension. But next time somebody tells you there's an all-wheel drive minivan next door, believe them, they actually made them. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the Steve Maggs YouTube channel. There's lots more here at Bernardston Auto Wrecking.